What are we doing here? What are we doing here? Please, please, people. I have a life. I have things to do. I have chores. Right. So, I've cheated. Here we are on Retrothon with a game from 2020. I would say this is the most modern game on Retrothon, but apparently someone's playing Space Goals. So, yes. Aleste did not die. Well, it kind of did for a very long time. So 27 years after the last Aleste game by Compile, M2 decided, you know what, for this collection, we'll make a new one. They have made games before, but obviously a lot of their work has been porting them, making them available. So this was, you could say, one of the best shoot-'em-up games of 2020. So, I am obviously not Spacefin, that is an entirely made-up name. I'm neither Egg Quail Tortilla. For this run, I shall be, think of two nouns, Mordor Tupperware. So please remember to follow Spacefin, he doesn't exist, and we will start. Unfortunately, this is the one we will actually need the timer for, but I need to do some of the settings. So since this is a speedrun marathon and considering, you know, safety strats and things like that, I'm going to press left there, which is going to give me extra lives. I'm probably not going to need them, but, you know, just in case, I'd rather just power the way through. It's quicker that way. And much to the despair of CPS, we are playing this on normal because, playing games and talking at the same time is hard. So, on 3, 2, 1... Hacking Storm. So obviously it's a question of why am I always alone in life? Why am I always the sole pilot? And this provides the answer. The space ramp failed. So, 2020, this is a shmup on the Game Gear, kind of, technically. I mean, it did appear in this collection, and it did appear on the Game Gear Micro, you know, one of those devices that only appeared in Japan, cost about $100 each, and was very, very difficult to get the Aleste one because it was a special edition that was only available via a certain website where you're playing on a continent. But obviously, this is running in their emulator, the same emulator that they used in pretty much all of their Game Gear and Master System stuff, including Lost Judgment. But the community being the community, they have extracted the ROM, and they cannot get this to work on a stock Game Gear whatsoever. So, it's kind of strange homebrew in that way, but hey, alas. Okay, we are restarting that, because that is what happened. I'm not... There we go. So let's pretend that didn't exist. I've got to admit, the fact that I'm doing this on normal and and I die on the first stage, considering that we played on special for GG Aleste 1, that is quite the achievement. But hey, that is my one reset. For the rest, I have save state set up, but there were some of the mechanics that I wanted to explain that would have prevented issues like that and rather silliness and given me a bit of a safety net. But alas, you know, I'd like to think that this was all going rather well considering the circumstances. So I was due it. So I'm going to take the Raging Lasers. It's not exactly ideal for this. It's not very defensive. It doesn't have any abilities to take care of the bullets. But what it is really freaking strong. So, and that is what I need to have a little bit of confidence. But, you know, even if this is not traditionally, explicitly a Game Gear game, I mean, look at this. Look at this. This is running, I don't know what modifications are being... Oh my... Alright. Considering I was 5 minutes underestimate for the Alpha one, one last time, and then I will, and then we will just do that, and I will talk less for the beginning. This is a Game Gear game, it's not technically a Game Gear game, just in case Retro Gaming Live wants to cut this off at a good point, or as just to capture my ever-increasing descent into insanity. Weirdly enough, I've been practicing this exclusively on the harder special version, but which this is one of the biggest challenges the first stage to get out of, and that is where I thought, you know what, I'll just do it on normal and then be able to get through the first stage, and then everything will be smooth sailing from there. And alas, for the first time ever, I am dying continuously on this stage before I even get to full power. So this is an Aleste game. Now, people may ask, what is an Aleste game, considering the mechanics seem to change game on game, but there is some similarity with the Game Gear games, and a lot of the tropes remain the same. So I'm still having my P-pills, I'm still having my power levels for my shots going up from 1 to 8, and that is determined on the left-hand side. I am, almost dead, and I should probably take another weapon. There we go, and we do have a shield, which I now have, which means I can get hit without feeling stupid. But I'm going to take the chain chaser because that makes it a little bit easier. Because this is an exhibition after all, and this will be able to take care. So a lot of the homing weapons, they are weaker, but they do provide coverage for the enemies that are going to fly out from the left to the right. Now, this is the only game in this collection that does not follow the rule of using time as the means of high score performance. So there is an online leaderboard. Every single game in this collection is the most popular speedrun game of 2020. But this one here, this is in fact based entirely on score, even though it has the same option of playing with slowdown. Am I going to? Yeah, I'll take the chain chaser for that as well. So we're coming up to the boss, and so it's not quite flashing lights, but there is a little bit of flickering. There is a little bit of flashing, but not nearly as bad. This was made in 2020, so people are aware of accessibility. We're going to play with the old trope. They're going to be two lasers. Which direction is it going to go? It's going to go to the right. There is RNG in every single of the bosses, but it's mostly going to be which direction are they going to go from. And some of them are going to be predetermined, but that one was fairly simple. We did it in 2 cycles. M2 tested this to make sure the game works on Game Gears, really? I mean, to be honest, I'm not paying much attention in terms of the work that had been done and how much effort had been put to make this playable on Game Gear. I base it entirely on a Google search. So it could very well be true, but I mean, did you look at the beginning of that? If this is a Game Gear game that is runnable on a Game Gear, this is possibly one of the greatest technical achievements in homebrew history. Except maybe for random Neo Geo games. The amount of visual things that are going on here as we're going through what you'd think is a normal city, but there's going to be a twist because we are still technically in space. And look at all of these forests. I wish I had this many forests around me. But perhaps I should stop talking a little bit because things are getting what we call in the business a little bit dodgy. There we go, parallax scrolling. Oh, look at that, look at that. This is potentially a Game Gear game. Depends what they're going to do. So yes, Aleste, I mean, within the shmup community, and of course there has to be an acceptance that shmups will probably never receive the heyday that they were receiving in the 80s and 90s, but there are some very passionate people making sure that they still are relevant, mostly in the porting space, mostly in the indie space, but also you get in the likes of Nier Automata and Platinum Games designing their own shmup and things like that. But also M2 have played an absolutely fantastic job in making sure that shmups never die, to steal the catchphrase. So we got Pitchy and Pals in the chat. Now I know him, that he is a prolific Darius player. Now, This is a fact without any proof, but I like to think that there are as many Darius games as there are Mario games on the Nintendo Switch, thanks entirely to the work of them too. They absolutely love Darius, and they've done a couple of porting work for that. They brought Darius, the original arcade version, to the Mega Drive, for example, and they're doing the same for Aleste. So this is the first original game in the Aleste series in 27 years. Since Compile went directly to make Puyo Puyo, and the rest of it went to Rising, and then eventually everyone went to Cave, and blah blah blah. There's an entire history for that. But this is not the only one. Okay, we're at the end. Screen's going to tear apart. Goodbye, Space Station. And we're going for a boss, and this is where I have to remember my directions. So this is this a space crab? There's also a little bit of RNG. I want the pods in the middle to open. Yes, because the pods in the middle are the rockets, and that is very good. That means I can stay central. And now I'm going to have to go left. It's always left. Regardless of the difficulty, it's always left. You go to the left, you hide in the corner, and there we go. Second one. Oh, this is brilliant RNG. And I've got an extra life. There we go. 2 cycles. Random sound in the background. Oh. Yes, they did actually. Yes, the people that that survived making endless Puyo Puyo games did make Milestone, and I'm not sure how you actually pronounce that. If it's like a West One Wonder Boy thing, where it's West One or Wii Stone or whatever. But Milestone, not the ones that made the MotoGP games, but the ones that make the weird and wacky shmups. Please go ever since I think Wii days, but. Please Google those games. Some of them are even available in Europe. I cannot for the life of me actually remember what they do. I just remember she has glasses and a hat. But there are like 500 shmups. So here we go into our traditional water-based stage. So there are a lot of tropes in play here, and people say, I think they said in the chat already, that GG Aleste 3 at its most interesting is probably at the end of the game. And for the beginning of the game, yes, we're going over tried and true, but the execution is rather interesting, and people call it one of the best shoot-em-up games of 2020 for a very good reason, because it is very competently made. The experience, especially with the slowdown off, is magnificent. And gives enough challenge in the special mode that I am avoiding, like the plague today, because I reset it 3 times on the first stage. There's absolutely no way I would have survived this. But you can see you've done this stage in probably so many of them. Someone mentioned the 1940 series. I'm sure it's been done in every single one of those games there. I'm sure Compile have done it plenty of times, so Compile are not just known for Aleste games. And when you talk about what an Aleste game is, then that can vary. Super Aleste on the Super Nintendo is really just Blazing Lasers 2, for example. What is an Aleste game? What is a Xanac game? What is a Gunnat game? Those things can be interchangeable. It just really seems like, well, let's spin the wheel in the Compile office to see what title is going to be for this one. So we're going to go, and I really want to, again, if DMCA was not a thing, I would sing the Simpsons Monorail song, but certainly those in the chat, if you want to sing Monorail, then please do. But there are 4 of them, so it's not quite the same thing, but there is an expectation. Here we have the monorail there, so what is going to appear on them? We're just waiting for those. And it's a shame we're not doing this for charity, because obviously everyone loves talking about choo-choos. Here we go, choo-choos. So this is why I've taken the defense rings, because I want to make sure that none of them sneak up behind me. And also, some of them are going to take little pot shots, and these little pot shots will have the opportunity of going through. So it's not a complete shield. There are gaps that can be exploited, and the enemies do tend to exploit them. So, Rising Lasers. Rising Lasers for this one, and if you think my napalm is cheating, well, it does the same thing. So here we have fire barrels that I need to get out of the way of and make sure that I do not touch that. Alright, no, that's bad. So I need to take my weapon back again. But we should be fine for the time being. So of course, they're not predetermined. All of the weapons do kind of cycle through, which means, and if you take the same weapon, then you're going to get some points, 1,000 points. It's not exactly a lot, but it's good practice to have. And even though I'm at max strength in terms of the P-pills at the top. It's always good practice to keep on picking up all those P-pills, because you never know at what point in the game you're going to get hit and you're going to need to take them again. So there are, I'm not sure if I've got a perfect bonus yet. And I didn't get it there either. So if you complete certain challenges, you do get a bonus of, okay, maybe because the challenge wasn't complete yet, you do get bonuses of 50,000 points. So some of them include taking care of all the boxes. That one was taking care of all those things. And there we go, so 50,000 points. Again, the gap between the extra lives, not exactly as generous as GG Aleste 1, but I don't think anything in life is as generous as GG Aleste 1 as long as you survive until the 4th stage. Now, in the UK in the 60s, like Thunderbirds, there was a TV show with puppets called Stingray. And every time this comes on, I want to sing that in my head. Oh, and of course, if I pick up the C at the same time, then I am going to have that brief moment of invisibility. So we have these mines here that are going to spew out candy, but that's fine. Now for the second phase, there are going to be some reticules. I want to avoid the reticules. Now I'm going to go right. And he's going to spew out more candy. I'm going to blow. It's the power-ups that will kill you. It's dodging the power-ups. There we go. Stingray's done. And I've got an extra life. 11. Oh yeah, because I gave myself 9 extra lives. Wait for the perfect rage. Yes, somebody is singing Stingray. Thank you. Oh, there I was thinking I would have been the only one with those references. Right, so here we go. Much like GG Aleste 1 on the 3rd stage, we are going back to the mines. And this is another one that is a little bit of a pain when it comes to what it is on special. So these little turrets that you'll see on the left and the right, they are a lot more active on special. And you still have these enemies that are going to scroll from the left and the right, which means that you kind of have to stay in the centre and just hope to not do any stupid movements unless you've got this routed out exactly. But as I said, I'm woefully underprepared for this, so let's just hope this all of best. But you know, the floor is lava, don't whiz on the electric fence, all those things, just don't touch the dangerous parts. But this is not the most dangerous thing for this. This has potentially, okay, from this point onwards, I think it's going to get a little bit more difficult. But there is one particular moment with choo-choos in this stage that is going to be an absolute nightmare for me. So. But it's okay because I gave myself extra lives, and recovery, even though I've not really spoken about recovery, yes, we lose 1 level, but I find that the distance between to actually having a usable shot level is a lot better. So we're having these, I wouldn't say they're train tracks, but they're close. We're going to have trains anyway. They're going to come from the left and the right, so I'm going to take the power, and I'm going to assume it's on the left. Because of that, it's probably on the right. No, it's on the left. So these are going to spew out little bombs and also candy. So the bombs are going to stay there, but the candy will go straight down. So we've done that on the left, so we need to do it on the right. So it's very easy to get caught out here. And this is why I've taken a Raging Laser. It may not be the most sane position to take, but it's good for me because I can go a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right, and still do some damage. Now, my headphones are broken, so this sounds very much like a Commodore 64 game to me, which I'm sure it doesn't. I'm sure it sounds fantastic, but it is very interesting. For me, at the moment, I've taken that extra 1, but that's fine because it doesn't matter. I've done my job. That is the end of the choo-choos, and I will take that. Thank you. Oh, it's the end of the choo-choos, so we're going to switch. We've done the choo-choo theme, so we're going to switch back to the nautical theme, but before that, more and more evil boxes to destroy. Ah, the true menace of society. If I was to do all the boxes, I would have got a perfect bonus there, but I didn't, so that is fine. We are not going for score here, we're going for pure survival. Now, there are additional there are leaderboards for everybody. So there are leaderboards for default difficulty, but there are also leaderboards for you can do whatever you want. That is why in the bottom, slightly to the left next to my Wave 3 score, you'll be able to see the ranking mix. So even if you do want to play like a scrub like me, then you're able to do it competitively. But I'm not doing that competitively because we have 2 turrets, one of which is shooting out lovely bullets at me, another one is shooting out delicious candy. And obviously I'm trying my best to make sense of this situation. Oh. So we take this, but I'm going to have to switch to the Rising Lasers or whatever it's called because it changes every single game. I want to say Raging Blasters, but that's actually a separate game. And that was almost very, very difficult in doing that. So I think this is the time where I'm going to have to wait until it goes to Raging. So I think the power-ups are set on a timer because they are related for that. And here we have yet another space grab. So what I want to do with Raging Lasers is kind of stay. It's going to spew out those bubbles, one of which will stop me, slow me down. Another one will stop me from shooting. I can never remember which one is which. So now we're going to have these things blown at me. So what I want to do is just kind of stay within. But these bubbles being attached to me is making it very difficult. Whoa! Unfortunately, when there we go. And we'll take that for the next stage. Space Crab, number 2, or Space Turtle, I suppose. We're done. And now, we are going to come to the most fascinating part of this, where I take a drink of water. But also, another bit of Aleste history that reminds you of the worst parts of Sonic the Hedgehog. We have mechanical spiders that are just going to try and sneak their way onto, down on me. But I've absolutely forgotten it. 1945, Strikers 1945, thank you very much, has a similar stage to this, where you are just climbing a rocket and you're going into space. I don't know why we need to climb the nuclear rocket in order to go to space. We are literally in the spaceship, but I don't deny it, the spectacle of what is to come. As we clean the creepy crawlies off of this, and not just playing Sonic the Hedgehog, but we're also going to play Space Bomber, Psycho's other famous series. Definitely better than Space Invaders. And eventually, we're going to have to lift off. And now we're going to achieve on the Game Gear something that was achieved 30 years earlier on the NES. But hey, who's keeping score? Certainly not M2. And we are paying tribute for what Compile would become. We have Baby Blackhearts from Battle Garega that I will want to stay either behind or above. I don't want to be by the side of them because they do this weird little shunting attack. But as you can see, I cannot go to the extreme left or right. I am going around this rocket as it launches up into the sky, which is exactly like climbing that staircase in Battletoads. It is absolutely fantastic. Practically, I don't know, but in terms of the spectacle, it's very nice. But you will also discover that this is by far the longest rocket that has ever been created in the history of Aleste. It goes for miles and miles. But thankfully it's guarded by an entire army of Baby Blackhearts. So when I say Baby Blackhearts, these are a Blackheart is an enemy, a kind of stealth bomber-esque ship in Battle Garega, which would be Rising, one of Rising's early games back when it was still called Rising, made up of former Compile staff, and would have little baby versions of that on the way to the second form. So that is why I do that, but you'll notice that the moment it starts spouting into flames is when they will just drop out the sky, and I've been hit. That's the first hit for a while. That's unfortunate. But there should be enough P-pills there. But because I am not able to move properly, then it means it's a little bit difficult to navigate my way to the P-pills. But that's fine. As you can see from the score, this is the worst performance for me in terms of actually not being hit. So, and unfortunately the P-pills do go in a random... Oh, la 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 la, that was very close. They do go in a random arrangement. So it is a little bit difficult, and unfortunately, unlike GG Aleste 2, it does not bank the previous one. So I will need to collect them new, and I want to make sure I have the Raging Glasses for this. Nope, take that, fine. That's fine, it's completely useless for it, but it's fine. Hopefully I can get the Raging Blasters there. The Raising Laser, sorry, because I want to stay behind him. Have these little... There we go, I got my shield back. Have these little balls that are going to do that, and there we go, that is... Oh, no, don't take it, don't take it. Oh. So I lost control of the ship, but it took the power up anyway. Which is fine, I don't really need it for this one, but... As it slams popcorn in my face... I'm going to take the power up for that little bit of invincibility, and now it wasn't, in fact, a black heart. It was a transformer, and I would have had enough P pills for that anyway. Come on, come on. There we go. There's a body waiting for it. That ship was just ahead, and he's going to do something incredibly mean and take all my power. Also, something incredibly mean, he's going to shoot at me these little diamond lasers that I can't shoot through. So I'm going to... Now this is random what direction it's going to be, so I'm going to hope... 2, 3... 2, 3... There we go, that should be enough, and now some of the satellites are going to converge on me and shoot this... something my way, but there we go, first phase is done, I got my power up, and now he's going to do some Kamehamehas, but I am far too fast for that. I have enough room, and I have the Chain Chaser, which is going to keep on damaging him despite that, and that is very well done. Not a single hit. I'll take the P-pills, I don't need them, and that is the end of the stage. So what is the greatest video game adaptation? The Whale Cry? For me, it's always been Star Wars and doing the Death Star Trench Run, and certainly while this isn't. It kind of gives me the impression of fighting against some Star Destroyers, because a bunch of them are going to come from the left and the right in a little bit. So to see this is the closest I'm going to get to a decent Star Wars game on the Game Gear, or something pretending to be a Game Gear. But unfortunately, we're coming to the limitations of the Chain Chaser in that I'm going to have to alternate from one side to the other to take care of the turrets on the Star Destroyer before they start shooting, as well as these tiny little ships on the left. But so far so good. So we're going to the other side. And we have, I have no words for this, they kind of look like Daleks. But I'm not sure we should be crossing over with these references. So usually, because that boss goes quite badly, I would be taking this time to recover. But I got an extra life. Recover from what would have been that, and recovering my shield, and also making sure I didn't do anything stupid from here. But considering I'm max power, this is actually going, despite the awful start, this is going very well. But this is where we're starting to talk about the most visually impressive and the most challenging in terms of this. So here we have, I hesitate to call it another space crab, but you know, I'm thinking it. It will jam down on me. And I have to make my way through the popcorn. Oh no, I took the Rising Lasers. But it's okay because I got a perfect. I'll take the D. Because we have that, and I'll wait for the Chain Chaser. So this guy here, he will shoot diagonally, but of course, like game design of old, there will become two of them. But even on normal, no. Even on normal, this is where we're going to start having a challenge here. This is where we're going to talk about what would be the equivalent of Game Gear of bullet hell. And also, it's not a very good period for me if I don't have a shield for that. But we're going from the spaceship. We are no longer scrolling from top to bottom. We are also scrolling diagonally, which is always a nice thing to do. And we are going to take care of... Oh, no, that was a terrible guess for that. All of these enemies that are going to start appearing from nowhere to ram themselves into my face. And there will be an increasing amount of bullets that are being thrown my way. So I may, for the first time in like 2 hours, I may need to shut up. But here's hoping I won't have to. There we go, I got my shield back. Fine, we can keep on talking. We can keep on talking because these ones here, they're fine, they can be shot down. The other ones, yes, there is a bit of difficulty in that they're coming from random directions from these turrets, and also all at once in terms of those creepy crawlies that they're appearing out of nowhere from there. But all in all, it's fine because I am allegedly an expert in the genre. I know how to go from left to right, lure bullets and things like that. What I don't know how to do is this boss here, which I don't like. So I'm going to take the A. The A shoots bullets. Which is very good for those little ones that are those little triangles that decided, you know what, we are just going to bash a bunch of bullets your way. But I do need another weapon. There we go, chain chaser. Thank you. And I'm going to spew candy my way, but that is done. I probably should have taken the defense ring, but that's fine. That's fine. This is not fine. This is not fine. There we go. This is still not fine. Ah. Oh, and this is why I love the genre for moments like that. It is so wonderful to escape things like that. And now we have something that kind of reminds me of Crimson Clover, but done a couple of years later. This is a giant ball. A giant ball, and now, as is tradition in every single shoot 'em up I play, I get to sing. You spin me right round, baby, right round, like a record, baby, right round, round, round. And we're just going to do this over and over again. And if I don't do it enough, yep, there we go. Okay, so usually it would have gone in the other direction, but that's the end of phase 1. The end of phase 2, he's going to throw geometric shapes at me. That are going to appear from random directions and go towards my general direction, but it's okay, because that's very quickly done. Phase 3. And now he's just going to have enough and just bash himself into that. It's kind of random, so that's why I prefer to have the chain chaser to follow him wherever he decides to go. There we go. Oh, that is very clean. That is very clean. Remember, kids, this is normal. Although the bosses are not very much different on Special, it's mostly the journey. So we're going Wave 7 deeper into Abyss. Obviously, this is going to be the most difficult stage of the game. Because it's the last stage. It's a very long stage. How much of the timer? 27 minutes. Right, fine. I can't remember what I did for the estimate, and I'm afraid to look anymore, but hey. Okay, so this... We're just going to do this over and over again. And I've got what will probably be the last extra life until the final boss. So these shots here, I cannot do anything about them. And I'm kind of hoping that this will shift to my defense bits. Nope, I can't get those in time. Because, yes, it's fine having them one by one, but the game realizes, you know what? Let's do it twice. Yeah. Oh, which means I have to hope that the collision is fine, and if we're taking the middle one, I have to make sure I keep a very good distance from that to hope that the defense bits capture those bullets, because if not, I am going to have a very bad time for this, even with 14 lives. So these ones are going to crawl up. I don't want to go immediately in front of them, but if I leave it long enough, they're going to spew candy my way. These ones, I cannot deal with the shots, so I just have to stay a little bit to the sides. As we go into this wonderful space base, I'm sure that's not a word, but hey, vocabulary is dying even for me as we go into this final one. Now, The reason why I picked the defense bits, so there are two strategies that I know for this. Firstly is defense bits. Oh my god, I've been hit immediately. Oh. So, I kind of just have to focus on this guy in the middle. Because if I don't, he's going to start spewing a load of bullets. I don't want him to start spewing bullets, because those are the bullets that I can't block. These bullets that are coming out from those red little turrets, I can block. But I am having to make sure, I'm kind of preferring one side from the other, and making sure I pick enough P-pills. And hoping that we don't do that, using the invincibility that are given to me from the P-pills, hoping that the defense bits take care of those ads that are coming from either side. There is a spewing of those bullets. Unfortunately, I left that a little bit longer. How much? I've got 15, so I need 5 more P-pills. Come on, P-pills. This really is... Oh, that almost came through. One, and there we go. I got my shield back. Got my shield back. That is fantastic. I think we're also at the end of this horrific section. So the other tactic is to use that the A weapon. There we go, that's gone. The A weapon, which will also shoot anything around me, but it's a little bit too large, so we'll do things at the side. So I'm going to keep the defense bits because of... Oh, I hate these guys. I hate these guys. But they do stop shooting after a little bit, so it's fine. So, like the boss, like the mini-boss from the last stage, there will be little pyramids that are going to shoot an obscene amount of bullets at me when they are destroyed. These ones here. So I want to make sure these are captured by the defense bits. But I have these little things here, which are going to... Now, there are other strategies, and one of the beauty of the Aleste thing is people talk about which weapon are you going to use. Well, there are many viable weapons, and there are some which are absolutely insane. So certainly I wouldn't use the rising lasers in this section if I wanted to live even with 14 lives, because I technically cheated and gave myself too many. Oh, I've been hit because I was not expecting them to come. So the problem with defense bits and these little pyramid things is that the defense bits can set them off, which means I can't ram my way through. Now here is where I die. Here is where I die. There we go. Okay, that was bound to happen, but it's not the end of the world, because I'm going to take the chain chaser. So this is where I have fond memories of playing Snake back in the day in the 90s on my Nokia 3210. My greatest achievement in video game before at that point was reaching level 8. I tried to do it reach level 9 in Snake, but I wasn't able to do it. And much like me never being able to do Dodonpachi 2 loop, you're going to have to give up on some of your dreams. But if you leave it long enough, then obviously it does start to explode. And it becomes slightly more dangerous, so I need to get out of the way of that, but it goes ever faster. And I'm going to take the rising laser, because I'm fed up with this. I'm fed up. This is quicker. Now on special, every single length of the chain does explode into bullets, so it does make it very much more difficult. Now we're going to do some traditional dodging. There's nothing that we can really do, because these boxes are evil, other than wait. Now I want to keep the rising laser, because it's quite frankly the best weapon for what comes next. Now, here we're coming up to the final battle. We are battling against geometry itself. Diamonds! And more diamonds, but I'm going to stay in the middle. This is being very kind to me. Usually it's a case of I would have to do a little bit of dodging, but there's phase 1. Now, can I be bothered with this part? I don't think so. Mushihime Sama Futari Ultra. Yeah, one day. Alright, no, I can't be bothered. Center. Center. I'm pacifist now. I'm tired. Go to the right. I mean, there are points to be won, but, you know, let them live their life. Let them have a little bit of hope that they'll be able to win this. to the left. And we go to the right. And this is where I show that I've only been practicing on special because I can't be bothered with this. And the order is ingrained in my head now. Okay, so the final battle. He has his own rising lasers. I have to take out quickly because otherwise it's going to do giant laser attacks. There we go, phase 1 done. And now phase 2. Geometry. Now because I'm near enough max power, I'm hoping that I'll be able to do this in 2 phases. Okay. Oh. I always forget the direction. Come on, come on. Alright, one more. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Oh, there we go. And that, ladies and gentlemen, even though it's not really a speedrun, is time. Whew. And this, ladies and gentlemen, I promise you, as of now, on the 25th of April 2023, is the final GG Aleste game. Wait until the next M2 conference where they'll probably, just to spite me, release a fourth one. But considering it's M2, we probably won't see it for another 2 years. I say that, I love them, I'm very grateful for what they do. And this was perhaps the most visually amazing Game Gear game that I've ever seen. And a fantastic addition in its own right to a lovely series, the Aleste series. There are Aleste games on various retro consoles, on the Sega CD, Mega Drive, Super Nintendo, MSX, Master System. Lots of ways in which Aleste branches now for the Game Gear. Thank you, yes. In which case, I will have to make up another set of nouns for next year. There is a secret ending if you do the special one. It's a little bit cuter, but hey, here we have Luna Weizen, the great-great-granddaughter or something like that, and yay! We saved the galaxy for like the next 5 minutes, but there is another game coming up. There are more games coming up. This is Retrothon 2023. Thank you very much, everybody. For real this time. I believe in you. Goodbye.